Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Alright, we're reading from Canto 4, Chapter 22, Text 36.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And in case you didn't guess, we're at Matchless Gifts, 26th Avenue.
In New York.
Yeah, as if there was another.
Some people might not know.
Okay.
Text 36. We accept as blessings different states of higher life, distinguishing them from lower states of life. But we should know that such distinctions exist only in relation to the interchange of the modes of material nature. Actually, these states of life have no permanent existence, for all of them will be destroyed by the Supreme Controller.
That's deep.
Purport. In our material existence, we accept a higher form of life as a blessing and a lower form as a curse. This distinction of higher and lower only exists as long as the different material qualities, gunas, interact. In other words, by our good activities, we are elevated to the higher planetary systems or to a higher standard of life, good education, beautiful body, etc. These are the results of pious activities. Similarly, by impious activities, we remain illiterate, get ugly bodies, a poor standard of living, etc. But all these different states of life are under the laws of material nature through the interaction of the qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance. However, all these qualities will cease to act at the time of the dissolution of the entire cosmic manifestation. The Lord therefore says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 16, Brahma bhuvana loka puna avatino arjuna mam upetya tukunteya puna janma na vidyati. Even though we elevate ourselves to the higher planetary system by the scientific advancement of knowledge or by the religious principles of life, great sacrifices and fruitive activities, at the time of dissolution, these higher planetary systems and life on them will be destroyed. In this verse, the words Isha vidvamsi sa sisam indicate that all such blessings.
Let's just try that word is Isha. It is a big word. It's very Isha vidvam sita shisham. Yeah, it was pretty good.
We will not be protected. Our bodies, either in this planet or in another planet, will be destroyed. And again, we will have to remain for millions of years in an unconscious state within the body of Mahavishnu. And again, when the creation is manifested, we have to take birth in different species of life and begin our activities. Therefore, we should not be satisfied simply by a promotion to the higher planetary systems. We should try to get out of the material cosmic manifestation, go to the spiritual world, and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is our highest achievement. We should not be attracted by anything material, higher or lower, but should consider them all on the same level. Our real engagement should be inquiring about the real purpose of life and rendering devotional service to the Lord. Thus we will be eternally blessed in our spiritual activities, full of knowledge and bliss. So interesting, because today when I woke up, I was a bit annoyed, and I was just nothing serious, but I was just thinking, oh no, if I can be honest, someone was getting on my nerves a bit, and not him, but and then it was funny, I had this realization, and I was thinking, which kind of reminds me of the way this part of the purport ended, which is it's irrelevant what this one does or this one acts or this, it's like it's so easy to constantly get distracted by these unimportant things in life which consume us or can shape our day and our mind and like that. And the thought was, you got to reset and refocus on your Krishna consciousness. Like if you make yourself distracted in that way, you don't notice other things. If you're gonna be like swimming in the swamp, then you're gonna notice all the swampy things, but if you pull yourself out of the swamp and you swim in the clear blue waters, then you're only going to notice, like, what are those things? Funny shaped seahorses and starfish, cute, things like seahorses look funny, but they're cute.
Sharks.
Funny. No, not sharks. We don't want to swim with the sharks, do we? The seahorse. Do you know what a seahorse is?
No, I have no idea.
You don't? Oh. And the starfish and cute things. Anyway, it just reminded me of the end of this purport, which is that at the end of the day, and because it says here higher, lower, whatever planet this, you're gonna die. It's gonna be destroyed, and you're either gonna go down to lower planetary system, or either way or it says here you're gonna have to just sit in the waiting room in Mahavishnu until you life bursts forth again. And so it's like, so my point being, even as aspiring devotees, we're going to go, So just focus and concentrate, on yourselves, as it were, and just like be buoyant and thinking, oh, I haven't learnt a verse lately, or, oh, let me do some reading project or something, or maybe some devotional artwork or whatever, like that, or I didn't listen to that kirtan again, it always makes me feel good, and that, and just be wrapped up in that way. Otherwise, if you don't get wrapped up in that way, you're gonna get wrapped up in swampy stuff, because you gotta get wrapped up in something. That's the point.
Sounds like the title of this talk, this Bhagavatam Bites, should be Swampy Stuff. Okay, so...
Oh, wow. It's a long purport, isn't it?
It sure is. It's amazing, this chapter. You would think, good Lord, sometimes like, how long is it going to go on for? But it's... and that's because we have no taste. We just want Leela and interactions of Leela. But this is the kind of philosophical conversation, I think, it's still between, see, that's the thing also, we lose track of who's actually speaking, but I'm pretty sure Sanat Kumar is instructing King Prithu, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. I thought you meant the other, like, this is Prithu, where it comes subplot to subplot, like Vidura and Maitreya, and then this one and that one.
No, the actual,
Yeah, tomorrow.
So anyway, next paragraph. Regulated human civilization promotes dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. In human society, there must be religion. Without religion, human society is only animal society. Economic development and sense gratification must be based on religious principles. When religion, economic development, and sense gratification are adjusted, liberation from this material birth, death, old age, and disease is assured. In the present age of Kali, however, there is no question of religion and liberation. People have taken interest only in economic development and sense gratification. Therefore, despite sufficient economic development all over the world, dealings in human society have become almost animalistic. When everything becomes grossly animalistic, dissolution takes place. This dissolution is to be accepted as, here's your word, Isha Vidwam Shisham. The Lord's so-called blessings of economic development and sense gratification will be conclusively dissolved by destruction. At the end of this Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as the incarnation of, you guessed it, Kalki. And his only business will be to kill all human beings on the surface of the globe. Wow, that is God. So God's going to show up at the end of Kali Yuga and just kill all the human beings on the surface of the globe. And everyone's going to think, God, it's a demon, but no, it's actually God. Well, they won't think God, it's a demon. They'll think it's a demon. After that killing,
another golden age.
Another golden age will begin. We should therefore know that our material activities are just like childish play. Children may play on the beach, and the father will sit and watch this childish play. The construction of buildings with sand, the construction of walls, and so many things. But finally, the father will ask the children to come home. Then everything is destroyed. Persons who are too much addicted to childish activities of economic development and sense gratification are sometimes especially favored by the Lord when He destroys their construction of these things. That is such a wonderful and beautiful example. Of course, we hear it all the time that, it's like sandcastles on the beach and then the waves of time just smash them and wash them away. So, but here we see Prabhupada expands that analogy to the father who is sitting and watching the children playing childishly on the beach, knowing that they're so absorbed, knowing that they're thinking this is all that there is right now, building this sandcastle or doing whatever they're doing. And then he comes along and says, okay, let's go, it's time to go home. And they have to leave it all behind. And it's such a wonderful analogy for the way it works for us. That Krishna is perpetually watching us just dallying about here in the material world, wittering away our time, frittering away our time. And then, one day He just says, that's it, it's time to go, and you leave it all behind.
It is said by the Lord, Yasyaham anugrinami harishyata dhanam sana. The Lord told Yudhishthira Maharaj that His special favor is shown to His devotee when He takes away all the devotees' material opulences. Generally, therefore, it is experienced that Vaishnavas are not very opulent in the material sense. When a Vaishnav, pure devotee, tries to be materially opulent and at the same time desires to serve the Supreme Lord, his devotional service is checked. That's awful. The Lord, in order to show him a special favor, destroys his so-called economic development and material opulences. Thus, the devotee, being frustrated in his repeated attempts at economic development, ultimately takes solid shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord. This kind of action may also be accepted as Isha Vidi Vamsi Sasi Sam.
It's not Vidi. It's 3 words.
Isha
Vidvam Sita Shisham. Vidvam Sita Shisham.
Alright.
Vidvam Sita Shisham.
Whereby the Lord destroys one's material opulences but enriches one in spiritual understanding. In the course of our preaching work, we sometimes see that materialistic persons come to us and offer their obeisances to take blessings, which means they want more and more material opulences. If such material opulences are checked, such persons are no longer interested in offering obeisances to the devotees. Such materialistic persons are always concerned about the economic development. They offer obeisances to saintly persons or the Supreme Lord and give them something in charity for preaching work with a view that they will be rewarded with further economic development. Anyway, I'm not sure about this. The Lord, in order to show him a special favor, destroys his so-called economic development and material opulences. I don't know if Krishna's getting it yet. This ain't a special favor, and this is not going to make you make friends and influence people, I don't know about this.
No, what he's saying here is that when a Vaishnava or a pure devotee, which is important because he's already referring to someone who's a pure devotee, a Vaishnava, when he tries to be materially opulent, When a Vaishnava, pure devotee, tries to be material opulent and at the same time desires to serve the Supreme Lord, his devotional service is checked.
Checked.
Yeah, but that means it means it's stopped.
Yeah.
It's impeded. It means if I'm trying to serve Krishna and at the same time I'm trying to rack up a massive bank balance, then it means my devotional service is going to be checked because I'm no longer just focusing on the Supreme Lord as my maintainer, as my protector, as my person to go to surrender to, and like that. Then what Krishna says, to show him special favor, the Lord, to show him special favor, destroys his so-called economic development and material opulences. Thus, the devotee, being frustrated in his repeated attempts at economic development, ultimately takes solid shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord.
Yeah, so the key point here is that thus the devotee, because then Prabhupada goes on to point out that because that's an important point, that the devotee, if you're a devotee, as a result of all this, where Krishna basically ruins your life, you will take shelter of him. But, as Prabhupada goes on to explain, materialistic persons would come to him and to devotees, as they always do, and give me, can I have your blessings and this, and as Prabhupada says, they're only doing that because they're thinking in terms of material blessings. They're not coming there and say, can I have your blessings so my newborn son becomes a brahmachari, or, grows up and he ends up being some big preacher and that. That's not what they're thinking. So that's the distinction that Krishna can, like when sometimes you make jokes and if someone doesn't know the relationship between the people, and this has happened to me, I'll be honest, and it's a bit annoying, and then the third person comes on and says, oh, that wasn't nice, and then what are you talking about? And then you have to explain it between the two of you. We're actually mates and we do pull each other up and it's cool and whatever. So in the same way that someone who's looking from the outside might be like, oh my God, Krishna did this and this, but Krishna knows what his devotee can take and what he's got, as it were, in terms of his adhika, and that he's going to surrender. Whereas the materialistic person, as it says here, just goes away. It's like, oh, okay. And either because something has been fulfilled, or it hasn't been fulfilled. They're definitely not going to take shelter of God. If anything, they're going to curse God and say, all these demigod worship and all this Krishna bhakti, look, we're all so useless. They're not going to come to the Lord. Does that make sense?
Does that make sense, everyone? Okay. So, we're in a dilemma. Do we try to finish this purport? It's 2 paragraphs, which we can do, but we probably have to skip in-depth commentary, or do we come back and...
In-depth commentary? Well, you're the one that does in-depth commentary.
Well, I think you all can vote down below who was doing maximum in-depth commentary
today. One day in Brahma.
One day in Brahma. Okay, so we're going to try to finish this purport because there's 2 more paragraphs. However, when one is sincere in his devotional service, the Lord obliges the devotee to give up his material development and completely surrender unto him. Because the Lord does not give blessings of material opulence to his devotee, people are afraid of worshiping Lord Vishnu, because they see that the Vaishnavas who are worshippers of Lord Vishnu are poor in superficial material opulences. Such materialistic persons, however, get immense opportunity for economic development by worshiping Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the husband of the goddess Durga, the proprietor of this universe. By the grace of Lord Shiva, a devotee gets the opportunity to be blessed by the goddess Durga. Ravana, for example, was a great worshipper and devotee of Lord Shiva, and in return he got all the blessings of goddess Durga, so much so that his whole kingdom was constructed of gold buildings. In Brazil, in this present age, huge quantities of gold have been found, and from historic references in the Puranas, we can guess safely that this was Ravana's kingdom. This kingdom was, however, destroyed by Lord Ramachandra. So that's a very interesting point, that evidently there was some sort of an underground passageway to Brazil, and Ravana was extracting the gold from there and bringing it back to build Lanka. That's the understanding that I've heard before, although it doesn't seem to be so clearly explained there. But yeah, that's the idea. But interesting point. There's so much that could be said, but we'll carry on.
Next paragraph. By studying such incidents, we can understand the full meaning of Isha Vidvam Sita Shinam.
Shisham.
Shisham.
4 words. Isha
Vidvam
Sita Shisham.
The Lord does not bestow material blessings upon the devotees, for they may be entrapped again in this material world by continuous birth, death, old age, and disease. Due to materialistic opulences, persons like Ravan become puffed up for sense gratification. Ravan even did kidnap Sita, who was born the wife of Lord Ramachandra.
No, she wasn't born the wife. Who was both.
Oh,
She wasn't born the wife of Ramachandra.
Who was both the wife of Lord Ramachandra and the goddess of fortune, thinking that he would be able to enjoy the pleasure potency of the Lord. But actually, by such action, Ravan became Vidvamshita, or ruined. At the present moment, human civilization is too much attached to economic development and sense gratification, and is therefore nearing the path of ruination. Oh Lord, and that was written when Prabhupada wrote that in the 60s. Ugh. But anyway, yeah. Okay. Anyway, you can't enjoy the opulence of the Lord. Quick point, because we don't want to, everyone knows it's Bhagavatam Bites, and if you think, oh my Lord, what are they doing? Taking the whole pie, But this point about not enjoying, like Ravan wanted to enjoy Sita, the goddess of fortune, the opulence as it were, and he didn't want Ram. And I was just thinking, just because we were just at the Bhakti Center morning program and I do deity worship, and it was and I was thinking, and you have to be very careful, for example, when you're doing deity worship, and in particular dressing, because you can want to enjoy the Lord without the Lord. So it's like, instead of dressing or looking at the Lord and thinking, here's Mulida, here's Gaurachandra, Radharani, let me beautify them, and how can I can use them, their outfits, their jewelry, everything, paraphernalia that is there for them, but I can use it in my enjoyment and beautifying my dressing seva, if that makes sense. It's subtle, but it's there. It's very much there. If you're Pujari, you can also tell that, actually, especially when you look at certain darshans and that. It's very interesting, but yeah, as opposed to like, no, you're there, Lord Ramchandra, Mulida, you're there, and let me try to engage in your paraphernalia to beautify you. It's very different, subtle, different.
Yeah.
Hope that made sense.
You can put down below if you thought it made sense, and if it didn't, you can ask a question for clarification. Okay, Isha Vidvam Sita Shisham. That if you don't take shelter of Krishna, then all the things we build in this material world are eventually going to be annihilated or destroyed. Confirmed. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.